With the Israeli offensive in Gaza in its fifth month, pressure is building up on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And it's not only directed from foreign governments. Now non-state actors such as Hamas and the Houthi rebels in Yemen are said to have agreed to join hands against Israel. Senior members of both the armed groups and another Palestinian Islamist group called the Islamic Jihad held a secret meeting with the Houthis, news agency AFP has reported. Where the meeting took place is not known, but the armed militias apparently discussed how they could coordinate their actions of resistance for the next stage of war in Gaza, according to the media report. The Houthis have been a source of headache for global trade for months now, ever since they began targeting merchant ships in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. They called it a move to show solidarity for Gazans and to express their anger against Israeli strikes. As a result, merchant ships are choosing the relatively safer but longer route via the Cape of Good Hope. But now, the Houthis plan to target that as well. Earlier this week, in a televised speech, Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi said, "Our main battle is to prevent ships linked to the Israeli enemy from passing through not only the Arabian Sea, the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, but also the Indian Ocean towards the Cape of Good Hope. This is a major step and we have begun to implement our operations related to it." He claimed that the Houthis have struck over 70 ships and barges in the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden and the Arabian Sea by sowing missiles and drones. The US and the UK have launched counter-strikes against the Houthis in which over 30 rebels have been killed by the group's own admission. Hamas has presented a new ceasefire proposal to mediators, which includes release of Israeli hostages in exchange for freeing Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. With an initial swap involving women, children, elderly and ill hostages for 700 to 1,000 Palestinian detainees. Netanyahu has called the Hamas demands unrealistic, but hasn't shut the door yet. An Israeli delegation will travel to Doha for talks. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has okayed a plan for an Israeli attack on Rafah to flush out the remaining Hamas battalions there. Rafah, which is in southern Gaza bordering Egypt, is home to about 1.5 million refugees displaced by the war. And an offensive there would lead to heavy casualties. Israel says there's a plan to evacuate civilians from there. Netanyahu is clear about what he wants: total victory against Hamas, and that includes those hiding in Rafah. In a recent conversation with the Israel Defense Forces, he acknowledged there was an international pressure to prevent a military offensive in Rafah, but he insisted that as Prime Minister of Israel, he will repel those pressures. "We will enter Rafah and eliminate the remaining Hamas battalions," he said.